things are moving fast behind the scenes at Ibrox, and this time, it's not just any rumor floating about. There's a real buzz in the air, and folks close to the club are starting to believe that a major move is about to land, one that could seriously shake up the front line under Russell Martin's new-look Rangers. We've all seen the speculation, the whispers linking Rangers to some exciting names across Britain. And now it looks like one of the most sought-after young players in the country could be on his way to Glasgow. And make no mistake, this isn't just another rumor with no legs. This one has momentum and it's building fast. Russell Martin isn't wasting any time. He's been clear since day one this squad needs identity, pace, energy, and above all, winners. And by the looks of it, he's building just that. After fending off interest from a number of English Championship sides, the Rangers are reportedly on the verge of securing a loan deal for Spurs wonderkid Mikey Moore. For those who don't know, Moore isn't just another academy name. He's considered one of Tottenham's finest prospects in years. A left-footed winger with a deadly burst of pace, clever movement off the ball, and the kind of composure in front of goal that makes defenders nervous. He's only 17, but he's already made enough noise in North London to have clubs queuing up for his signature. But here's where it gets interesting. Moore looks set to choose Rangers. A medical has reportedly been scheduled, and barring any last-minute twists, the move could be wrapped up in a matter of days. This is a clear statement of intent from Martin and his staff. They've already brought in J.D. Gassimer to bolster the wide areas, and academy graduate Finlay Curtis has looked sharp in preseason, even netting in the Champions League qualifier against Panathinaikos. But Moore's arrival, that's another level. He's not just coming in to pad out the squad. He's here to compete, to play, to make an impact, and that's where the real excitement kicks in. Because if Martin can successfully manage the development of both Moore and Curtis, two of the brightest young wingers in British football, then Rangers might just be building something seriously special. It's rare to see that kind of talent on both flanks, especially at a club that's trying to find its identity again after a roller coaster few seasons. But Martin seems determined to build a side that can dominate in Scotland and compete in Europe, and he's doing it with players who've got hunger, ambition, and something to prove. Now, speaking of proving a point, let's talk about Jack Butland for a minute. It's easy to forget with all the transfer talk that one of the most important roles on the pitch, the man between the sticks, has also been under scrutiny. Butland started his Rangers career strong. He brought presence, experience, and calm to the back line. But last season wasn't smooth sailing. He knows it. The fans know it. And Russell Martin definitely knows it. There were a few shaky performances, some costly errors, and eventually he lost his spot to Liam Kelly. But here's where you have to give credit to the man. He didn't throw the toys out the pram. He didn't sulk. Instead, he dug and kept his head down and waited for his chance. And when that chance came, late last season and again this preseason, he grabbed it with both hands. His performance in the first leg against Panathinaikos was a reminder of what he's capable of. Big saves, big moments, the kind of leadership at the back that Rangers need if they're going to make a real push in Europe this year. He even said it himself. He's not here to give up. He's here to fight for his place and show that he's still the number one. It's that kind of mentality that Russell Martin is trying to inject throughout the entire squad. No passengers, no egos, just players who are willing to buy and push each other and raise the level. And that's exactly why the pursuit of Moore makes so much sense. He's not coming here to coast. He's coming here to test himself, to play in front of a packed Ibrox, to feel the pressure that only a club like Rangers can offer. And for a lad his age, that says a lot about his character. Now there's another layer to all this, because while Moore's arrival is exciting, it does present a bit of a dilemma. What happens to Finlay Curtis? He's been electric in preseason. He's scored goals. He's looked confident. And most importantly, he's a product of the Rangers Academy, a player who gets what the badge means. There's an argument to be made that Curtis deserves minutes just as much, if not more, than any loan signing. He's here for the long haul. He belongs to the club, but maybe that's the real beauty of this situation. Maybe Martin doesn't need to choose. Maybe he can develop both, rotate them, use one off the bench when the other starts, give them both real opportunities to grow and shine. It's not about picking favorites, it's about raising the overall level of the team. And if Moore and Curtis can push each other to be better every week, then everyone wins. The team, the manager, and most importantly the fans. Elsewhere, Rangers are still active in the market, and another name that's popped up recently is Oliver Antman. The Finnish international has been lighting up the Eredivisie with go-ahead Eagles, and he's caught the eye of the recruitment team at Ibrox, with 15 assists last season, Antman isn't just a creative force, he's a difference maker. Someone who can unlock defenses and deliver that final ball with consistency. He fits the mold of the kind of player Rangers have been targeting in recent years. Young, productive, and with serious resale value, reports suggested that Rangers were close to striking a deal, but things have taken a bit of a twist. Sources close to go-ahead Eagles have denied that any agreement is in place, and as it stands, Rangers haven't tabled a formal offer. That's not to say the interest isn't real. It absolutely is, but it looks like this one might take a bit more time to develop. Still, with the transfer window ticking along and competition heating up, it might be a case of act now or risk losing out. What's clear in all of this is that Rangers are being bold. They're not sitting back. They're not waiting for the scraps once the big clubs are done shopping. They're going after players with upside, players who can help now and grow into stars. And they're backing Russell Martin to be the one who brings it all together. That's a huge show of faith from the board. But more than that, it's a clear signal to the rest of Scottish football that Rangers are building for something bigger. The next few weeks could be pivotal. Deals like Moore's, if completed, could define how this team looks heading into the new season. Will Martin go all in on youth? Will he continue to add experience to balance the squad? What happens with Antman? Will another suitor sneak in while Rangers hesitate? These are the questions that will shape the mood around Ibrox as we approach the start of the campaign. One thing's for certain though, there's a new energy around the club. You can feel it in the way Martin talks, in the way the players are responding, in the way the fans are starting to believe again. And if the pieces fall into place, Rangers might not just be chasing trophies this year. They might be building a team that can dominate for years to come. Now let's no kid ourselves. Rebuilding a club like Rangers isn't done in a few signings or over a single summer window. This is a project, a long-term vision. And Russell Martin seems to understand that better than most. He's walked into Ibrox with a plan, and bit by bit you can see the pieces starting to fit together. But this isn't about overhauling everything overnight. It's about being smart, being measured, and knowing exactly which players fit the identity he wants to instill. And for the first time in a while, it feels like Rangers are finally moving with a bit of strategy behind their transfers. That's why Mikey Moore's arrival, if and when it happens, isn't just exciting because of his talent. It's exciting because of what it represents. A young, fearless winger choosing Glasgow over half the English Championship, choosing pressure over comfort, choosing development over complacency. This lad had options, good ones, and he's picked a club where expectations are sky high and the demands never stop. That tells you everything you need to know about the character he's bringing with him. It's no easy task stepping onto that Ibrox pitch as a teenager and delivering. But clearly he backs himself, and you know what, that attitude's infectious. That kind of confidence, not arrogance but genuine belief. It raises the standard of everyone around. Think about what it does to a dressing room when a lad like Moore walks in, hungry, sharp, eager to make his mark. It forces the others to up their game too. It's exactly the type of energy that keeps a squad honest, keeps the complacency at bay. And it's exactly the sort of edge that Rangers have been missing in recent years. But the real magic could lie in the dynamic between Moore and Finlay Curtis. Now here's a situation that could easily be mismanaged. Two young wingers, both full of promise, both playing in the same role. One homegrown, the other on loan. The easy mistake would be to favor one too heavily or let competition turn into friction. But if Martin gets the balance right, he could be sitting on a gold mine. These two lads pushing each other, learning off each other, and driving standards together. That's the kind of thing you build a future around. Curtis in particular has earned a deeper look. Just 18 years of age, but he's shown maturity beyond his years this preseason. Asterisk the way he took that goal against Panathinaikos. Composure, technique, confidence. That's not something you fake. That comes from self-belief and trust in your ability. And when you've got a young academy product stepping up on European nights and showing he belongs, you don't ignore that. You nurture it. You give it space to grow. Rangers fans are desperate to see more of that. Local lads breaking through, making a name for themselves. It gives the whole club a lift. So the challenge for Martin isn't to pick one over the other. It's to create a system that allows both to thrive. Rotate them. Give them meaningful minutes. Let them play with freedom. If he can do that, he won't just have to good options on the wing. He'll have the foundation of something that could define this new era at Ibrox. Meanwhile, the goalkeeping situation remains one of the most fascinating subplots heading into the season. Jack Butland's story might not be grabbing headlines the way the transfer news does, but make no mistake, his role is massive. After the highs and lows of last year, the Englishman looks like a man on a mission, and not just any mission, a personal redemption arc. The way he's handled the setbacks, the criticism, the pressure, it's been first class. He's admitted things weren't smooth. He's admitted he wasn't happy with his own form at times. And yet, instead of pointing fingers or looking for a way out, he's doubled down. He's trained harder. He's come back fitter, sharper, and with a point to prove. And the performance against Panathinaikos was vintage Butland, commanding his area, pulling off big saves, leading from the back. That's the version of Jack that Rangers need if they're serious about making noise in Europe. But more than his shot stopping, it's his presence that's vital. Young players look to the keeper for calm, for reassurance, for direction. And when you've got a dressing room with fresh faces and rising stars, you need those older heads who've been through the wars. Butland provides that. And he's doing it while still hungry to improve, to compete, and to win back his place as undisputed number one. Of course, the big talking point lately has been Oliver Antman. The Finnish playmaker has lit up the Dutch league and is clearly on Rangers' radar. With 15 assists last season, his numbers speak for themselves. This is a lad who sees the game 2 steps ahead. Always looking to thread the needle, always looking to be the difference. He's got that bit of spark you can't teach in an aside. That's been crying out for consistent creativity in the final third. Antman ticks all the boxes. But here's the catch. Despite the initial optimism, no deal has been struck. Reports coming out of the Netherlands have thrown cold water on the idea that an agreement is close. Go-ahead Eagles are digging their heels in. They want over £5 million. And so far, Rangers haven't matched that. Now, that doesn't mean the interest is dead. Far from it. But it does mean that if the club are serious, they're going to have to step up soon. Because in this market, hesitation can cost you. There are always clubs lurking, waiting to pounce if a deal drags on too long. Still, there's reason to believe that Antman fits the long-term vision. He's young, technically gifted, and with plenty of room to grow. He's exactly the type of signing that could flourish under a manager like Martin, who values intelligent mobile attackers who can play between the lines. And with the current structure being built around pace and fluidity, Antman would slot in nicely. The only question now is whether Rangers are willing to meet the asking price, or if another club will beat them to the punch. But even beyond individual transfers, what we're starting to see is a cultural shift at Rangers. It's no longer about short-term patch jobs. No longer about papering over the cracks with stopgap signings. There's a real attempt now to build something sustainable, to mix experience with youth, to prioritize attitude and hunger just as much as talent. And that's a refreshing change. Because let's be honest, for years the club's recruitment strategy has been hit and miss. Some great signings, yes, but also too many who came without the right mentality, who saw Rangers as a stepping stone or a payday. That won't cut it anymore, not under Russell Martin. He's made it clear, if you're not ready to work, to grow, to compete every day, you're not part of the plan, and that message is being felt throughout the squad. Even the fans can sense the change. The connection is starting to rebuild. The noise at Ibrox during that Panathinaikos match, it wasn't just about the goals. It was about belief, about seeing a team that's playing with purpose again. A team that's fighting for every ball, pressing high, taking risks. That's what supporters want to see. It's not always about perfect performances. It's about intent. And right now the intent is clear, but the road ahead is still long. There'll be bumps, setbacks, difficult nights. That's part of football. But the difference now is that Rangers are finally heading in a direction that feels right. There's a clear identity forming, a structure, a plan. And with the right additions, like more potentially Antman and others to follow, this team might not just compete domestically. They might actually start building towards European relevance again. Russell Martin's revolution is still in its early stages. But if what we've seen so far is any indication, the next chapter of this club could be something special. The fans have waited long enough for consistency, for identity, for a side they can believe in, and now bit by bit it feels like that vision is finally taking shape. And as the window edges closer to its final weeks, all eyes will be on the board, the manager, and the squad. The pieces are moving, the stakes are high, and the season ahead promises drama, excitement, and maybe, just maybe, glory. Right then, let's keep this rolling, because things are only just heating up at Ibrox. With the new season looming and Russell Martin continuing to shape the squad in his image, there's still plenty to dissect both on and off the pitch. The moves being made are not just about filling gaps, they're about sending a message. This is a new era, and every signing, every tactical tweak, every press conference carries the weight of a club trying to redefine itself. And in that spirit, the energy around the club has shifted. You can feel it in the way the players talk. You can see it in training clips. There's a sharpness now, a sense of urgency. For too long, Rangers have been accused of sleepwalking through big moments, coasting when they needed to grab games by the scruff. But under Martin, the mentality is changing. There's more accountability, more clarity. The players know exactly what's being asked of them, and if they don't deliver, there's someone waiting in the wings to take their place. That's why the youth movement is so crucial. It's not just about planning for tomorrow, it's about lighting a fire under the present. Finley Curtis and Mikey Moore, two lads barely old enough to order a pint, are now genuine options. For first-team minutes, that kind of competition forces standards to rise. Veterans can't cruise anymore, everyone has to earn it, and that's the sort of environment that breeds real success. Look at what happened last season when injuries hit. Rangers were exposed. There was no depth, no real spark coming off the bench. That's why this summer's focus has been so targeted. Wide areas, creativity, options that can change a game in one moment. It's not enough to dominate the ball. You need players who can break lines, beat a man, deliver quality in the final third. And whether it's Moore's directness, Curtis's movement, or even someone like J.D. Gassimer offering physical presence and pace, Martin's building layers. He doesn't want just one way to win, he wants 3 or 4. And let's not overlook the importance of what happens behind closed doors. Martin's been praised for the atmosphere he's created at training, demanding, yes, but also collaborative. Players are encouraged to take risks, to express themselves. That might sound basic, but in a pressure cooker environment like Rangers, it's essential. Too many young players in the past have shrunk under the weight of expectation. But now there's a support structure. There's a belief from the manager that mistakes are part of the process, not something to be punished, and when you give young talent room to breathe, you often get rewarded. Of course, it's not just the youngsters who are thriving under the new regime. Jack Butland's resurgence is a perfect example of what happens when a player is challenged, but also backed. He spoke openly about the criticism he's faced, the doubt, the noise around his place in the team. But rather than fold, he used it. He came back stronger, mentally sharper. That's leadership. That's what a top keeper does. And when the pressure hits, when it's a cold European night and your back's against the wall, you want a guy like that in goal. Butland's attitude has clearly rubbed off on the rest of the squad, especially the new arrivals. These lads aren't just joining a club, they're walking into a dressing room where effort matters, where commitment is non-negotiable. That wasn't always the case in years past. There were players who didn't buy in, who didn't understand what playing for Rangers actually means. That won't fly anymore. Martin won't tolerate it. And with this new culture forming, you get the sense that players are finally holding each other to account. Still, for all the good vibes, there's work to be done. Rangers can't afford to stand still. The league campaign is about to kick off and Celtic won't be dropping standards. The Champions League qualifiers are brutal, unforgiving fixtures, where one mistake can undo a month of preparation. That's why the next few signings are so crucial. Whether it's Ant-Man or another creative option, the club need to act decisively. The squad's in a good place, but a couple more pieces could make all the difference. The margins are fine at this level. A single injury, a poor refereeing decision, a missed sitter, it can all swing momentum in a second. So the goal now is to build not just a good 11, but a deep, adaptable squad that can absorb the knocks and still push forward. That's the difference between a team that flirts with trophies and one that wins them. Russell Martin knows that. The players are starting to believe it, and slowly so are the fans. There's still a long road ahead, but for the first time in a while, it feels like Rangers are walking it with purpose. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Rumors swirling round Ibrox suggest that young Portuguese striker FÁBIO Silva might be staying put in Govan, this time on a permanent basis. After a loan spell that divided opinion among the Rangers faithful, the former Wolves forward has reportedly caught the attention of the Light Blues hierarchy, enough to prompt talks of a full transfer. Whispers coming out of Auchenhoe hint that negotiations could already be underway behind the scenes, although nothing has been confirmed. Sources close to the situation say there's a growing appetite from both sides to make the deal happen. Silva, still just 22, arrived on loan amid cautious optimism. And while his form at times blew hot and cold, the coaching staff is said to admire his work rate, movement off the ball, and his potential to flourish further under the right guidance. It's understood that Rangers would be looking to strike a deal with Wolves That reflects both the player's long-term upside and the current financial realities of Scottish football. Whether that comes in the form of a structured payment or performance-based clauses remains unclear. But the idea of Silva in blue beyond the summer is no longer being dismissed. In the corridors of Ibrox, fans are split. Some see Silva as a project worth investing in, a forward still maturing who could develop into a talismanic presence with more time and consistency. Others believe the Gers should be aiming for more proven firepower, especially with domestic dominance and European ambitions, both in sharp focus for the coming season still. In a summer where Rangers are expected to freshen up their attacking options, the notion of retaining a player who's already integrated into the squad and familiar with the demands of the Scottish game does carry a certain logic. Whether that logic turns into a concrete deal remains to be seen. But don't be surprised if the FÁBIO Silva saga takes a few more twists before the transfer window slams shut. Watch this space. It might just be the return of the Portuguese prince to the blue half of Glasgow. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.